Hello friends, and welcome to the Storyteller's Guide on Gilding Light, where we take adventure storytelling to the next level. You've spent ages building your world. It's all nice and organized with hyperlinks, pictures, and active maps on World Anvil, isn't it? You have a political system, good townsfolk, and corrupt citizens. A rich history for your players to dive into. You've developed a 12-month-long story with multiple weaving arcs. You sit down at the table and begin the adventure you've poured your heart and soul into, and what do the players do? They want to follow the little dog with a collar that walked by on the street and begin to search for its owners. They want to know about the make of the leather on the collar, completely leaving your story in the puppy's wake. You have a story to tell. How do you get the adventurers on the path you want them to be on, but still give them the feeling of the freedom of choice? This is the Storyteller's magic. I'm Satine Phoenix, your story guide for today's Storyteller's Guide episode called Storytelling Hooks. Coming up with ideas for your players to buy into is great. Story hooks are great. It's pretty easy to come up with these ideas. Think about the different kinds of archetypes and what might attract them to a situation that relates to your story. Some characters want money. Some want to be a part of a faction or to help someone in need. I'd like to talk about how to engage players further within these hooks. Let's talk about how we, as game masters or authors, might be able to implement story hooks. Setting expectations. When we run a movie or buy a game, we have an idea of what we're getting ourselves into by watching the trailer, playing a demo, or even just reading the synopsis online. Tone and expectation are established within a moment through marketing and graphic design. We storytellers often forget to set expectations for the game we're about to play. We get wrapped up in our own story cleverness. Players, they imagine what their connection to a story might be before they even sit down to play. The player expectations can be delivered as a cool name for the adventure, a short logline for the story, or even in telling your players what to equip when they're building their characters. If you have the time to prepare, you can offer up a reference image to show them what they or the world around them looks like. Think about lighting in the image and color saturation to communicate mood. Many books and modules do this efficiently with a cover image. Take a moment and look up your favorite movie or game and use your IRL investigation skills to see how the designers communicate these elements, from colors to font and very select images. Then look at what is similar between these successful products. What is eye-catching? What draws you in? These practices can help you not only in establishing expectations, but can be implemented in different parts of storytelling throughout your game or novel. Layers of establishing a scene. When preparing your game, it's good to think thoroughly about what your environment looks like so you can be prepared for anything the players might want to do. But when you're running the game, there isn't a need to be long-winded in your first explanation about the environment. You can fill your players with a sense of delight or dread by being both elaborate and efficient. It takes practice. I recommend studying movies or comic book scripts. The efficiency needed to write in this very short form teaches you what information is necessary to get your point across, allowing your players to ask questions to find out more. You want the players to explore the scene, and they need to do that on their own, with their own curiosity. If you give them all the information up front, they won't remember all of it. Maybe you have one player who has an eidetic memory, but generally, this is the case, especially if they're not taking notes. Players will pick out 1 to 3 major facts usually. Think of your environment and reveal it like layers. Allow your players to discover the deeper layers through skill checks and being genuinely curious about something in the scene. This also means knowing what in the surface layer leads to the next layer throughout the scene. If you have time and you want to be prepared, lay this out like a choose your own adventure path, creating tree branches from each part of your first layer of the scene. Not many game masters have this luxury, but if you do, you'll have more to improvise with through each layer. A role for the characters. Why the heck are the characters in the story? Each character has a background, and usually a player can quickly put together a 2-line backstory. But further, and this is a veteran DM secret that I'm revealing to you right now, you can work with your players on their plot hook. That's right! We are playing adventures with friends, so don't be afraid to talk to them about what interests them. It doesn't have to be 100% your job to come up with ideas for plot hooks. However, if you're writing a book or a script, think about why the individual characters would be interested in leaving their world behind and dedicate their lives to the story. Run these ideas by your friends. Be open to listening to their opinions, although you don't have to implement each idea. Use your DM skills of listening and improvising when receiving input, and you'll be surprised at how many great ideas your friends will inspire. Players feel connected to the story if you give them a role in the environment they reside in. Some questions you can ask are, does the world around them mean anything to their character? What effect does the character have on the city? Will this quest make people proud of them? Will they matter? If the characters don't matter in the game world, why would the players care about the characters? Everyone should have a purpose in the world and also a purpose in the group. When thinking about plot hooks, think about in-party group hooks as well. This will let each player care about doing things within the group, which will encourage group storytelling. Railroading. Now let's talk about railroading. Railroading is a term used when your story forces the players to make choices that go down a single path. However, despite appearing antithetical to the spirit of free-form adventuring in Dungeons & Dragons, limiting your players to a linear storyline periodically can both be exciting and rewarding. As a video game, Idle Champions has the benefit of linear storytelling in order to expand on important moments in NPC character development. Taking that as inspiration, sometimes it's okay to further a storyline for the benefit of the adventure, just like watching a movie or reading a book. However, there are creative ways to avoid railroading. How do you create a story that offers the players choices and satisfies the story you spent so long creating? There's a sweet spot between railroading and open world. By themselves, one path is too linear and one is too open. How do we give the players a feeling of choice while getting them to follow your lead? Here are 3 of many ways to approach this. Modular DMing. I'm a modular DM. I have the story information in places and keep the story about a minute ahead of my players. I'm able to listen to the players' needs through the game, moving clues and facts to give them a sense of accomplishment and discovery. I don't hand them all the information without them exploring. Sometimes, groups will fail to search most rooms or ask enough questions. I can give them main story beats to just about any NPC. Here, I make the importance of that NPC what the original NPCs would be. Maybe the group doesn't want to leave a tavern. I would look at the elements I have to play with and change things a bit. The noble they were supposed to run into elsewhere now is having a drink at this tavern. Voila! Solution! The trick is to be able to make up a good reason for the person or clue to be where they are without the players noticing. They don't know what the situation is supposed to be. They only know what you tell them. Improv answer. Maybe this noble has a penchant for dive bars and likes to dress down in disguise. Improvising is important if you choose this path of storytelling. Just make sure you log this into your World Anvil pages to keep track of where you modified things, or you might forget details and confuse your players the next time they ask for these details. And you don't have to stop there. Maps and locations. If you are running a shorter campaign and want to get the players through in a timely manner, you can adjust the locations and maps by moving rooms or buildings based on time. Again, log it into your World Anvil campaign where you move things, or everyone is going to get confused if they return. So, I do this based on time. My adventures are often based on time because of live streams, but I've also learned from public games to use time to move the story along, which is how my modular DM style was developed. Charts. If you prepare for everything, then you will have no surprises. That's what you think. The brilliant thing about having so many external main characters is that the players will always surprise you. Prepare your adventure by coming up with a number of NPCs for the players to interact with. You can either list out every single NPC in your world, or you can set up pre-made charts that have all the information you need for your players to go in any direction. You have all the information in front of you. Give yourself, the game master, brief descriptions and personality quips for each NPC. No matter what NPC you use, they all lead to a portion of the story that you need your players to get to. There is nothing wrong with railroading, but no one wants to feel like they're being railroaded. Everyone knows there's an overarching story to these games, but they don't want the specific railroading part to stand out. It should be subtle, allowing the players to forget and be focused on the specific choices at hand. If you want to develop an NPC character list, spend some time watching people. You can stock up on descriptions for NPC character types by going to a mall, a cafe, or a restaurant, and watching the people around you. Artists do this when they are practicing different emotions or body types in character drawing. We look at the clothes people wear, the way they interact, the way they hold themselves when they think people are watching and not watching, and in little mannerisms. No matter what kind of GM you are, you should keep your notes and locations in one specific location using a story organizer like World Anvil. Here you'll be able to quick reference when you make changes, and will be able to share what you need to your players fast and easily. Okay, I'm ready to start this adventure. After this quick video, we'll be back with our guest and begin our quest here on the Storyteller's Guide.
Hi, I'm Benwin Bronzebottom, celebrity dwarf and video game enthusiast, and this is my sidekick, Crowy.
Hello.
We're here to tell you about Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, a Dungeons & Dragons-based strategy management game from Codename Entertainment. They're Canadian, so you know it's good.
Let's talk about the game. Did you ever play Cookie Clicker?
Of course not.
This game is a management game like that, but with far more emphasis on strategy. And with a flavoring of D&D's lore and legendary heroes, you can unlock your favorite champions like Farida from Aaron and Evans' Brimstone Angels saga, Minskin Boo from Baldur's Gate, and the fourth and final member of Acquisitions Incorporated the C-Team, Amy Falcone's Walnut Dongras.
The K is silent.
Create the best adventuring party possible based on the formation options, your character's ability, and the obstacles and enemies you face.
Or you just randomly click on things like I do and hope for the best.
You can click on enemies to assist your champions, or you can set them up and walk away and let them do their thing. It's entirely up to you.
I'm playing on the toilet right now.
Why wouldn't you be? Idle Champions is available on all your favorite gaming platforms, including tablets, for the low, low price of free. So download it now.
End with joke.
You're not supposed to read
It
that.
says end with joke.
No, we're supposed to come up with a joke to go with where it says end with joke.
I don't know. End with joke is pretty funny.
Wait, on three, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
End with joke. I think it's funny. It's very funny.
One of the biggest problems that storytellers face while in session is that when you're searching through your notes and books, you're breaking the flow of the game. World Anvil allows you to manage your lore, the stat blocks of your PCs, NPCs, and monsters, your music, handouts, and so much more from a single screen. Fill your maps with lore and bring your worlds to life by connecting locations, NPCs, races, and monsters to the lands of your world with interactive maps. Track the history of your world, the adventures of your party, and all your major NPCs with timelines. World Anvil is not just for D&D 5e, it supports any other game you want, since you can build stat blocks in any system you're running and play your campaign in it, as every proper homebrew tool should aim to do. Oh, and you can make your own system too. Create an account now at worldanvil.com and join the World Builders Guild. Use the code Storyteller for a whopping up to 30% off Master and Grandmaster memberships. That's worldanvil.com. guys, welcome back. I am so super excited to introduce to you today's special guest. Over here we have Ivan Van Norman, host of horror RPGs such as We're a Live Frontier and Sagas of Sundry, a partner of Hunters Entertainment that publishes RPGs such as Kids on Bikes, Outbreak Undead, and upcoming Altered Carbon RPG.
Woo.
That is so cool.
It's cool, right?
Yeah. And also we have Jason Charles Miller, musician, voice actor, and host of Geek and Sundry's Starter Kit.
Hey.
Think you guys are coming.
Yay. We do things together often.
Yeah, you do. And that's why I wanted you guys to be here together, because you know each other, and I love it when you guys riff. And I want to get in your head, so let's start with that. How long have you guys been DMing, and what kind of games do you usually run?
I've been DMing probably 20, 25 years. I like to run long campaigns when I can. I like to be a world builder, and I like to have my players interact with that and make the world their own too.
I think I saw you had a picture. No, you brought.
I did. I brought some of my old maps, like
Yeah.
from college games that I ran.
It is very cool.
But lately, I've been running shorter games at conventions, 3-hour, 4-hour games tops. So that's been a challenge,
That's
but also
new.
super fun to adapt and write adventures that fit into that little niche.
Cool.
I've only been probably doing it for about 10, 12 years at this stage, because also it's like I didn't really get into it until when I was more leaving college, kind of a situation, even until when I got out. But I prefer the one-shots, honestly. Like I've done a couple of long-standing campaigns, but I've run, to your point, so many convention games, just having a publishing company and having to like try to, show the game to as many people as possible. I probably run more one-shots than anything else in my life. I think the last year before we started getting convention people at Gen Con, we were running I think I ran 14 games over 4 days.
Oh my
You know,
god.
that was just
How
all
long are
2 to
they,
3
too?
hour sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. I think the first year we did it, we literally ran a midnight to 4 a.m. game. And so we all on average got 4 hours of sleep at night. So
That's the fun of conventions, though. Fun. It's satisfying.
No, it is
In a
satisfying.
way, it is satisfying.
and it's the way that you
It's a rush for sure.
and when you hustle and when the goal is because it's something you made and you want to share it and you just want to punch people in the face with it over and over again, then there's a
But in
certain
that
level
fun
of satisfaction.
punching.
But in this fun,
Fun
punching.
punching.
Yeah, fun punching.
Consensual fun. punching of
Consensual
friends.
fun game time punching. So
What are your favorite aspects of creating games?
My favorite aspects of creating games are really taking things that people know and then modifying them or giving them a twist that people aren't expecting, but yet staying true to sort of the larger aspects of going on an adventure and killing the bad guy or imprisoning him or whatever, but yet sort of getting into the nuances of that and letting my adventurers do their own thing.
I'm a big fan of invoking emotion and
Yeah, you are.
yes, and just fitting to a theme. Like I really like taking genre content and really kind of taking the things that make those types of genres compelling and just showcasing the hell out of it. And it's actually pretty easy when you can take something as static and unemotional as a formula, and then you just put all of the nitty-gritty details into it that make people feel things. That's kind of my goop.
Cool. So in this case, we're going to make an adventure. You guys ready to make an adventure?
Okay, yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. Let's try it.
Okay, so we're going to focus on story hooks and how to get your players, either beginning players or veteran players, to really invest and care about the content that you're creating. Because that's one of the hardest things, right? You got your person at the table, they're on their phone, even though you said no phones at the table.
Right.
So how do you keep them engaged? So that's one of the elements that's going to be important in this. Then we're going to make a quest that is modular,
Modular.
that moves with them.
Yeah.
We're going to give an example how to railroad, but not make it feel like you're being railroaded.
Okay.
And they're level 3 characters, and the adventure is going to be 3 hours.
How many characters in the adventure?
How many would you like? This is your adventure.
4. I was going to say 6.
Okay.
But 4 is even better.
5.
It's right in the middle.
Let's do
Okay,
5. Let's do 5.
5's also great because when you have an even number of players, you have a more interesting dynamic of who can be interweaved. If you have 4, they tend to group up 2 and 2. But when you have 5, you have always an outlier that can usually tie into at least 2 other people. So,
and the less you have, the more adventure you can have, because you can run the same adventure with 8 players and not get nearly as far, and run it with 5 and get, and maybe still have time left. Also, a couple of bad rolls in combat will make the adventure a half hour longer.
Yeah,
more players means more deliberation, which means more talking, which means less progress as far as story
and
goes.
more turns.
Not necessarily less substance, just less progress.
Right.
And if you have a lot of players, you as a dungeon master have to really be paying attention to who's active.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So 5 is still a lot.
5's a fine number.
Fine number.
In order to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So
that's like a good limit. Okay. So where do we begin our story? How do we start creating?
3rd level.
And if we're talking about D&D, or are we talking about adventures in general? So if it's a 1 to 20 level kind of rating, and it's 3rd level,
it feels D&D.
Ish. So I mean, the point is if it's lower level, level 3 is still lower level no matter what.
Right. You've got a little bit of powers, but not
nothing
much
to
yet.
semblance with. So my mind automatically goes to, what can you do to someone who's had a taste of victory? You show them that they aren't as cool as they thought they were. That would be my first gut reaction, to be like, okay, let's give them something that's a little tough to chew on, and then pull back from that.
Okay.
That would be my first thing. Like, give them something, give them a battle they're destined to fail. But like pull away at the last minute, like one of those, like it's like a clan of were-rats, but then like something pulls them away last minute, so
like
that
they're
they don't
scouting,
finish them off.
so they were already
Scouting,
there.
or something even more dangerous, and it makes them run away, and it's one of those, well, we can't even tackle these guys, like we got to get out. So
and 3rd level means they probably went through at least 1, probably 2 adventures already.
Right.
So maybe we start them at the end of their at their heroic moment.
Oh, when they're literally coming off, they're literally
They're
having
high.
the endorphin rush of being cool.
Yeah.
Totally
Like
down with that.
you were just given the key to the town,
And the mayor's like, hey, I know you guys can do this. You guys can take care of this.
So now that you did this little thing, can you take care of this gang of were-rats? It's been
and the were-rats
extorting us.
and it's like 5 or 6, and you get down there and it's 20.
Right.
And it's one of those like, oh, okay, well, strike and fade, like, pull back. But then before they're about to tear you down, you just hear like a huge beast or something that just scatters them. And then the cool part is that, and I've always been a big fan of this, is like finding creative ways to kill the big bad. And maybe there's a way of like, now it's about not going into one-on-one combat with whatever the big bad is, but now you have a little bit of a banana adventure where it's like, how do we collect enough information to find the Achilles heel of said huge creature?
And since it's a were-rat, we've got to trap him.
Oh,
we got to put him in a mouse trap.
Do you think the big bad is like an even bigger, like an alpha were-rat?
Absolutely.
Kind of all right,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, I'm down.
And then we got to figure out a way to trap him, because there's no way they can
kill it. Yeah. Either that or cure it.
Oh yeah. Or were-rat poison.
Oh, rough.
We give them like 3 different options.
Yeah.
Well, this is good, because then we can actually explore making it, like multiple solutions, right?
Right, which is what you're saying with modular.
Modular.
You can rerun it if you have multiple ways in which to do it. That's kind of like, I'm also a big fan of subscribing to the Parks and Rec style of creating an adventure. So, do you know how the concept around how Parks and Rec is shot?
No.
Is that they don't hand them a script.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
This is stuff that I've read, and if I'm getting this wrong, internet, I'm sure you will let me know.
I'll believe you.
But the concept would be is that they basically give them beats. you know, and the point is to get to these beats. They don't care how or which or in what status they get to it, which is why like that team, when they were doing the mockumentaries like Spinal Tap and Best in Show and all those are done as beats. Like, they're not like, this is your lines, find the funny in these lines. It's like, no, find the funny in these beats.
Yeah.
In the same way, especially with RPGs, it's like, just pick your beats and find your adventure in those beats. The details will come if you allow yourself to find the details.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so the point of this quest, this adventure, is to defeat and get rid of this big monster.
That scared away all the little monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, let's build it. We're building it.
Okay.
3 acts.
3 acts.
Okay.
3 hours, 3 acts.
Act 1 would probably be the mission hook.
Right. The assignment, and then the
mini
marching
delve.
down in there, and
Yeah.
then realizing that it's way over their heads.
Yeah. So that's Act 1.
Yeah.
Act 1 is the inciting incident.
Right. Act 2 is the information gathering,
Licking
the-
wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The investigation
Yeah.
portion of it.
Yeah. Which is always nice. It's kind of like in media res a little bit too. You have a little bit of battle that they can't handle, and then you have the investigation mystery part. They handle that, and then the third is implementing set plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
And within Act 2, that's when several plans can reveal themselves,
Yeah.
depending on what the character's choices.
that's about as much as if I.
a 3-hour
Yeah,
adventure. could
that's a
go.
3-hour adventure. I think we can get
Oh.
into it, but
Yeah.
But even that on a page would be enough for me to if I had to, I could go into a game with that and
Yeah.
probably find something in it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But then everything else at that point's gravy. So
Mhm.
you know,
All right, so we're going to go back to Act 1. Let's flesh it out.
flush it out.
Okay, so you've got the mayor of this town, who's, we're at the conclusion of the last adventure.
He's grateful.
He's grateful. He's given you a small reward, then also asked you to do maybe the real thing he wanted you to do all along.
Sure. Like maybe this was a testing ground, and now, because I'm trying to think of like what the real goal is beyond more prestige and fame. But in D&D's, it's always about prestige and fame. So
That's okay.
As
Yeah.
it should be.
as it
That's
should
totally
be.
okay.
Yeah, but I think at this point, you could, as you can say, like it's one of those. You got to give them something to be like, I really need you to handle this, and I don't know necessarily like dangling the carrot too much of like I'll introduce you to a bigger collective or a bigger broker, or maybe in the world building of this there's a lot of different adventures, and the way that certain adventures get better gigs is because they have brokers that literally help them find adventuring gigs. So maybe this is like a talent hunt kind of a situation.
I like that.
You know,
kind of
so-
a modern twist.
A little
to-
modern twist to it, yeah. The fact that there's so many monsters. I'm actually reading a book about this that has this world a little bit already inside of it. So I always like that too. It's like there's nothing wrong with being inspired by content and using it, especially with disposable adventures like
Yeah.
RPGs that are running at a table. Like the story is going to be between all of you. As long as you're not making money off of it, then it's perfectly fine
Yeah.
to be able to have an opportunity to try out new stuff.
Yeah, and
So-
it's always going to be different as soon as
they're
players
in.
are involved. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to go in a way you never expected.
So screw it. Yeah. What if so basically, hey, you Greenthorns, you're looking great, but I got the name of a great talent booker out in big city USA, and
If you take care of this one thing for me,
I'll introduce you.
yeah,
Kind of a situation. And they're like, yeah, we got this, no problem, get down there. And then it's, Undercity, like maybe it's the ruins of a forgotten civilization.
right. It turns out that the town was actually built on a much older city
Yeah,
underneath, maybe not even beknownst to many of the
true.
now current residents of the town.
And the were-rats are probably one of those situations where a smaller clan of were-rats fled, and they haven't been coming up to be part of like the Undercity network or anything. They've just been like feral at the bottom and proliferating.
Yeah.
And it's now they're way more were-rat than human. ever, because they've just been in their bestial form the entire time.
So we're introducing multiple plot hooks now. So you've got the prestige, the introduction to do a thing. You have people who care about these were-rats and the changes
Sure.
in the environment.
Yes.
What are other plot hooks?
Oh, plot hooks, as in like just what? Yeah, maybe there's
Story hooks.
there's a reason.
Well, basically, the population of the were-rats is getting so big that even though they were able to sort of live on their own before, now
They're spilling out.
They're coming up and they're raiding the town, and it's becoming a major problem.
And is there maybe some value in the catacombs as well too? Like, is there something valuable?
Sure, there's like old, ancient artifacts from the original society that was there.
Here's a cool rando thing. What if the small town is actually a trade hub to bigger towns, but since it's kind of in a mountainous area, the safe trade routes are all underground, but they can't use that.
That is cool.
Because the were-rats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I like
right.
that. I
That's
like
really
that.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
We expect
so,
royalties, by the way, if you're going to put this up
Absolutely.
and place it online.
Yes, yes. Those free royalties. You got it. Okay, so we have that. The mayor says, go fix this. They go down, realize the were-rats themselves have a bigger problem.
There's an alpha or
There's an
something.
alpha.
Yeah.
Now,
Or
is the
something
alpha
hunting.
controlling them and they're afraid of it? Or is it come in, like, how does
I think it's
that
even worse.
interact?
I think it's hunting them. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's hunting them. I think what they thought was the problem was the were-rats, but there's a bigger one, so it's like the gator in the sewer kind of bit.
Right, yeah.
You know? So
Which is another adventure,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah.
So we
Okay,
have
so-
the were-rats. Now we go into Act 2. Once we find out that they're hunting them.
Yeah.
This is the info gathering and investigation.
Yes. Info gathering. So one is that if the players can find out or infer that the were-rats are being hunted, in theory they could, like to your point, bait and trap it.
Right, and
Using were-rats.
maybe even though most of the were-rats are feral, there are a few who actually have been foraying into the town in human form.
Okay. So they could be
And-
reasoned with.
Right, only a few of them, and maybe even they're also looking for help.
Okay. So it's one of those the enemy of my enemy is my friend plot hook.
Oh, very nice.
So basically and if I were to name these, that would be like branch 1 is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Number 2 is Bell. Oh, what if we had like a Bell the cat kind of a situation where you don't
What is
destroy it, but you do the equivalent of like put the
Oh.
bell on it,
Oh.
or at least they always know where it is,
Mhm.
kind of a situation.
Cool. So why don't we put in Act 2 multiple avenues of solutions?
Yes,
So
sure.
one is belling a cat.
Yeah. Which is in Outbreak Undead, that's a mission
Oh,
where
really?
it's like you take the one big monster, and it's the Jurassic Park 3 bit where it's like you always can hear it because the phone's
Yeah.
ringing, kind of a situation.
Then there's
So,
the trap.
trap, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend, using the were-rats to bait and kill it because now you have the adventures plus 20 were-rats that you've rallied.
Okay, so that's the reasoning with them.
Yeah.
What else can you think of? Basically, what they're going to be doing is going through the town and talking to people based on what they think is the best solution.
Or I would say poison, right?
Right? Yeah.
Giant
Rat poison. Come on.
Super rat poison.
Super rat poison.
All right. Let's come up with just some characters that they might talk with.
Who's going to give each clue out, so
Yes.
to speak? Well, there's always like the classic tavern keeper.
They see and hear all.
For the poison?
I would say the alchemist is actually a good hook for the poison. Or even better, the alchemist is a red herring. And what if it was more like a druid, or like like a wandering, herb sage that goes and collects, stuff around. Maybe he's a bit of an outcast as well too. So they have to go
Nice.
out into the
Yeah, lives in a hut.
Yeah, it's got to go out to
outside
the
of
sticks a
town.
little bit to find out
Yeah.
that there's this one herb that is, very poisonous to lycanthropes and hobbity hoobity hey.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's great, because that takes them out and it's less just running around within the city.
Yeah.
Okay, what about bait and kill?
For bait and kill, I think we just have to establish the NPCs of the reasonable were-rats. Like, who are the 2 or 3 that you can talk to? Like, what are these NPCs?
that are living as
Merva and
members
her
of the
family.
town.
Yeah, Merva.
Minerva.
Minerva. Yeah, that's a very minxish name. Yeah, because then at this point you can actually use that to provide the were-rats as empathetic characters.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Okay, Belle to Belle the cat.
Ooh, that's the tough one. What do you do to Belle? What do you do to Belle a giant were-rat? There's blinking lights. There's sound. Maybe there's an artifact they can put on it that's got magic mouth on it permanently.
Right, that they need to acquire from the ancient ruins.
Maybe is it in the ancient ruins? Because if it was in the ancient ruins, wouldn't they already know it? Like,
No, but it's like in another pocket.
Yeah.
See, what I imagine is that if the town is this big, the ancient ruins are like
huge and engrossing.
huge, and so the rats are only in part of it.
Yeah.
And if our players can discover other entrances to other parts that are separate,
Okay.
maybe that's one.
So you have like a mini dungeon dive in the catacombs with challenge appropriate monsters to go and find the artifact that they can use to Belle the cat.
Right.
Cool.
Which is a cool having a permanent magic mouth on it is
That's so silly.
Kind of fun, right? Yeah.
Okay, and are we going to have somebody else to communicate? We're going to have them communicate with another were-rat person to kind of build an army? Because if we have a family that they're talking to be as bait, there might be...
They have to be
another.
advocates, so there's got to be a leader of the were-rat clan that's not the family.
Yeah.
So they have to angle the family to go and confront the were-rat. And maybe, and this is where it gets into the beauty of just finding the discovery then and now. Maybe it's the classic challenge the leader to one-on-one combat and kill it.
Cool.
And then now they are now, you know, Rat King, were-rat king.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course, we have to do all this in 3 hours.
I think, well, here's the thing.
they only have to do
it's
one of them.
which one do you pick? Which path do you
They only have
pick?
to pick one.
And you don't give the players the option of all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to be prepared, but not have them feel like they're being railroaded.
Right, exactly.
Because they actually do have 3 choices.
Right. Which is pretty common to give them kind of like multiple options, but you make sure they stick to it. And if they try to deviate, like if they try to go away from their quest to find another quest, you just shut all those doors and give them the chance to go into it. So really it's like go into town to find the eventual alchemist who has the herb in which to poison the thing. Explore the deeper version of the catacombs, maybe from a scholar or a librarian who mentions that there's maybe and the best part is that thinking about this is that the players can be in a situation where they where you know the scholar says that there's a weapon that could potentially destroy this thing, but what they actually find out is a utility magic item.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it.
Right.
You know,
right,
kind of those situations. And really, I actually imagine it just being like a spear that breaks off at the end, and then the tip is just going the entire time or whatever. And then then the other one is just them doing the social game with the were-rats.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so implementing the plan.
We just talked about all of them.
Yes. Well, that means let's talk about this big guy.
Oh,
Who
cool.
is this big bad?
You want to take a stab?
Let's see. He somehow, maybe because the town is a trading town,
Mm-hmm.
he found out about this community of were-rats whilst traveling through, and then with his rat senses decided, you know what, this might be a great place for me to settle down for a while.
Okay.
And control these guys.
So basically, he's living off of essentially because I can imagine a prolific town would probably have the equivalent of a garbage chute. Like, why put it next to us when we can put it below us? You know, so maybe this thing's just been getting fat off of garbage from the town above. And but as a result, it is huge, like 3 times the size of our little were-rats.
Yeah.
And where's the player agency? Like,
Where is
what
the
is
player
that
agency?
moment where, like, if we don't do this right now,
Yeah.
we're screwed?
We don't do. I guess it depends on which pathway they've decided to take. Oh, if we don't do this now.
Like, if we don't figure out how to get rid of him now, like, maybe it's...
What's the thing?
Well, I mean, maybe the booking agent, so to speak, that's going to be
He's
introduced
only
to
in town
them
for a certain time.
is coming to town, and he's coming in like 3 days.
That's cool.
And if they don't take care of this problem for the mayor, he's not going to introduce them.
See, I almost like that better than something kind of canned, like, oh, it's been bumping around and the support beam's under the orphanage, and now the orphanage is going to fall.
Yeah.
I like that it's more like, no, dude, like, we got to do this before the guy shows up.
Yeah. We're going to look terrible.
That's way better. That's way better. They got to show. They got to have the bards already have to have their songs sung
Yes.
by the time this guy shows up.
Right.
All right, so let's name this big bad. Let's name the town, and we're going to name the adventure.
Gungak.
Gungak.
I like that.
All
Is
right.
that the town or the bad guy?
Which one? You pick.
I think it's a bad guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the town.
Gungak. I want to call him like the adjective or something, like the
Gungek
mightiest.
the great. Yeah.
Gungak the great. Gungak the fat.
The fat.
that.
Yes.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
even likes that. He's like, well, I'm fat.
I'm fat. Yeah. I actually like that because in this big bad too isn't like a muscly like stealthy giant were rat. It's just like this blobous thing that's moving around, and it's got like 4 chins under its giant rat neck.
Oh, like in Preacher. Have you seen?
Oh,
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so name that town.
Name that town.
Mountain town in the valley. So
It's on the ruins of a trade hub, an underground train hub.
Right.
Maybe it's got some dwarven
Oh.
to it, because if it's
Iron Vale.
Perfect.
Done.
Anvil.
Okay.
And the name of our adventure.
I mean, it could be the Rats of Iron Vale, but
the were rats of Iron Vale.
is that to
No.
not reveal that in the title? Should it
No,
be
that's
like
totally fine.
Trouble or
It's always like booking new work.
the villain of Iron Vale or the what'd you say?
You could call it the booker, or booking new gig on the horizon. A veil on the horizon. No, that makes it sound like they were leaving the veil, though.
Right.
It's
rat
not easy,
gig.
is it?
No, the rat gig. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so you had something that was actually pretty clever. It's like, I mean, even if we call it the Were Rats of Iron Vale,
It pretty much tells you what it is.
yeah.
And
'Cause
somewhat-
it's not about, I mean, it is about them, right?
Yeah.
It's about the ecosystem of
Right.
them. Okay.
And I actually think that to a certain point, that actually might be nice, because I also think about how does that look like on a convention sheet. Like if I'm looking at a list of adventures that I want to book.
Right. Yeah.
then
Where Rats of I know what I'm. I know what I'm up
getting.
to.
Yeah,
I know what I'm
exactly.
getting when I see that.
Well,
So,
that's it. That is it. You made an adventure.
We
Thank you
did.
guys for coming to the Storyteller's Guide. Why don't you let everyone know where to find you online?
I'm Jason Charles Miller, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Jason Charles Miller and Twitter at Jason C. Miller.
I'm Ivan Van Norman. You can find me on the internet, usually at Hydra_Lord. I'm on all of the different social medias, and if you want to check out my publishing company and see some of the stuff that we're putting out right now, you can go to huntersentertainment.com and follow all them on the socials too.
I'm Satine Phoenix, owner of Gilding Light and Dungeon Master of the Sirens. You can find me at Satine Phoenix on all the things. Before we go, I want to thank our partner. Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms is a strategy management video game that brings together iconic Dungeons & Dragons characters from novels, adventures, and popular shows into one epic adventure. The game is available now on PC, Mac, on Steam, and web, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, iPad, and all Android devices. I also want to thank World Anvil, our other sponsor. World Anvil is a world-building tool for authors, storytellers, and world-building lovers. It's an online set of tools specifically designed for world building. It'll allow you to organize your world, search through everything and anything with ease, present it publicly, and get feedback from a community of world builders around the globe. We hope you enjoyed today's Storyteller's Guide. If you have some story hooks that you want to share with us, go ahead and tag on Twitter and Instagram @IdleChampions and @GildingLight. Till we meet again, dear storytellers. Thanks again for watching the Storyteller's Guide here on Gilding Light. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and click the subscribe button and follow us on @GildingLight on all the socials. Want to hang out with me on Idle Champions? Go to idlechampions.com/storyteller. Until next time, play, dream, and tell all the stories.